knew that my hearing was really sensitive when I was a child, so the interaction with sound when I was younger was very directly emotional and a lot of times reactive, like reacting to a really loud sound or trying not to have my ears hurt by a loud sound. But at this point, my relationship with sound is so totally different. I embrace the sensitivity to sound and I try to exploit it as much as I possibly can. How can I continue to awaken and renew my listening experience or my hearing experience in any sort of way? It's the only problem about recording over here is you always have trains. They're in like every recording I have. The challenge of finding those sounds and keeping my ears really awake and attuned to what's happening around me is what I really focus on now. Like, could we just stop and kind of listen and see what's going to rise to the top, and then how do we focus in on that and reveal what's interesting about it? Is it because it rises to the surface, or is it because there's something there, a texture or a characteristic of that sound that really needs to be investigated? So I started recording with the cassette deck in around 1996. I developed this archive of every time I traveled or went anywhere. I realized that some of them have more significance than others. Flipping through, I find my granddad's recording talking about fiddle tunes, what he played and why he played it. It was the last time I recorded my granddad playing before he had passed away. If you know kind of where it was recorded, or maybe the day it was recorded, or the circumstances as to how it might have been recorded, I love just the tiny bit of context opens the door, and then your imagination gets to fill in the rest. And I think sound does that, for me especially, more vividly than images.
Come on, Don, we got
We were living in Fort Stockton, Texas, and I was probably 3. I had a Fisher-Price turntable sitting right next to my bed, and I had a few 45s that were there, and so I would wake up in the morning, put a 45 on, and play a record. I didn't actively seek out music, I just devoured whatever was there as much as I possibly could over and over and over again. So what I like about using these loops is that you get the percussive click, but then you get whatever's happening within the loop itself. So you get all of that information that happens as it spins from this direction, and then you get something that's going to stop it and like start the sound over again, which is the piece of tape. So when something's looping, I think about the present being sustained but then extended through time. So repetition happens a lot in my work, and I think it's a way for me to talk about time but in a very specific way, like these things kind of looping back in and on themselves. Before, it was always really separate in my mind, DJing and all this other sound interests. So now everything's in the same room and I can bounce things around in here really, really easily. All right, what I like to do is I like to take whatever the field recording is, filter it down to a specific set of frequencies, then have those frequencies vibrate and resonate another material. This piece was called Vibrational 1, and I found this bucket. Of course, the train. So this bucket was found under the bridge at Roosevelt Park, just around the corner. This was a small brass bell that my mom had given me a long time ago. I just thought that there'd be this really nice conversation between materials and place and sound, and that the sound would be the sort of activating element in all of those things. The sparrows have their own sound, and that sound is being brought together and combined with the sound of the brass bell, and then those two things make one sound together. So a sound that the brass bell wouldn't make on its own, and a sound that the sparrows wouldn't make on their own. So that's why I like to take these sounds and filter them and manipulate them and really kind of bring out the harmonics within those sounds to resonate within whatever the harmonics are of a natural material. As I keep working, that marriage of object and sound is where I'm really focused now at this point. I remember someone asking me, like, well, why do you use sound in your work? It was like one of those questions, like, well, why do you breathe? I know that it happens and I know that I need to do it, but it's just something like, of course I'm going to use sound. It seems so primary to me that I kind of have to use it.